Hello, I'm William Michael of the Classical Liberal Arts Academy, and I'd like to talk tonight very practically to anyone who has been involved in the Classical Liberal Arts Academy as a parent or as a student, even as a friend of the Academy, who is interested in learning how to work as a tutor with and for the Classical Liberal Arts Academy. I'd like to talk practically about this because this is real life stuff. This isn't idle talk about dreams and fantasies. This is practical work where we need to offer quality work and accomplish objective goals, and tutors need to be able to make a living. I'd like to talk about my vision for tutoring work in the future, which I've already begun in the academy this year, and I'd like to tell others how they can do it and what my vision is for how we can build a team of tutors to work and promote the goals of the Classical Liberal Arts Academy, which is to basically restore classical Catholic education in the 21st century. You know, a lot of Christians have silly ideas about Christian works. You know, I recently had a discussion with some folks where we talked about how when it comes to Christian work, people think that this work should be done free, that parents should be able to get this kind of work for free, have their children taught for free, tutors should work for free, and so on. And it's just the most ridiculous idea in the world, and yet it's very common among Christian people, this idea that Christian parents should be able to bear children and then expect to receive all that they need for their lives at no cost, while they basically take it easy and live a comfortable life. With tutoring, the challenge is that you've got to fulfill the objectives of real Christian education, and you've got to accomplish virtuous goals in Christian education, but you've got to earn a living at the same time. There's a balance between the work that needs to be done, which is idealistic, goal-oriented, faith-inspired, and so on, but at the same time, we're just, eating, drinking, sleeping creatures that need shelter and food and clothing and all other kinds of things to even survive. And there's this balance, this constant wrestling match between our ideals and things we'd like to do and our actual ability to do them sustainably in real life. And one thing that I've taken pride in the Classical Liberal Arts Academy is that we've pursued a very idealistic mission with very high standards, and yet at the same time we've balanced those standards with real life practical plans to make that work sustainable. And I've been working full-time for 15 years as the director of the Classical Liberal Arts Academy, and I really believe it's possible for Catholic men and women to earn a significant living while doing extraordinary work. So I'd like to talk about that a little bit. For 14 or 15 years now, I've been working to establish the curriculum, which is really the foundation of classical Catholic education, and build a system that makes it accessible to students of all ages, all around the world, affordably. Our program is pretty amazing to look at when we consider the quality and content of the curriculum. But even more than that, it's extremely affordable for families to access, and it's very comfortable for students to use. We have young children who get in and get started and are able to manage their studies, and the system works. That's what I think is most important about it. The system that we have, it works. It's effective in accomplishing the goals of classical Catholic education. But what it needs is the assistance of living tutors, Catholic men and women who are able to help students, motivate students, keep students accountable, support students, answer questions, provide help when help is needed, provide companionship to students who are working through these difficult studies. That living element of the work of tutors is a great need in our work that we're doing in the academy. And I've started doing that work this year. This summer, I started with video-based tutoring, working with students one-on-one throughout the week. And in just over a month, my schedule filled with reservations, just to show that there is significant interest in tutoring. And I've already heard feedback that the meetings with students, the tutoring work, is helping them to make significant progress and is also encouraging them as they pursue these studies. So I believe that I know how to do it. I know what needs to be done. But the next step is finding Catholic men and women who are able to do what needs to be done, who are able to focus on specific parts of the curriculum and strengthen those different areas of the curriculum, and who also satisfy the standards of Catholic parents who are willing to invest in the education of their children and provide for these tutoring services to be available. That's a real challenge, because parents are not going to play around. They want quality instruction for their children. They want quality people working with their children. And when they find those quality people and they are confident in that quality instruction, they're willing to put money on the table and not mess around, because they know how rare these opportunities are. And so it's very challenging. It's not something that we can just throw open the doors for and try to find some nice, smiley people to work in. It's challenging work, and those who work as tutors have to be able to do this work, meet these standards, and produce results. There's just no baloney. This isn't a game. These aren't, funded faculty spots. There's no tax, revenue coming in that's going to just pay for these different positions. It's none of that. This is private, free market, educational business on the practical level. Parents are looking for quality tutors. The academy is going to demand a certain level of competence, and the students need real help that is measured by the response and the progress of the students, not some silly external accrediting agency or anything but the actual experience and work of the children. That's the real test of a tutor. So I believe that those people are available. I believe that many of them are already hovering around the Classical Liberal Arts Academy or involved in it in some way. And I'm not asking for tutors to be copies of myself, because the academy doesn't need another one of me. It needs people who complement me, people who can do things that I either can't do or don't want to do, so that we, working together as a team, are able to provide the best possible teaching and support for our students across the curriculum at all levels, from the earliest days of their studies all the way through the highest levels of study. And there's really no limit to how high those studies can go, because we have interest from adult students. We have the opportunity to start a college program. There are many opportunities at the higher levels, and it takes special people to be able to do this work at this quality, sustainably, realistically, measurably, with accountability at various levels, from, like I said, from the youngest up to the most mature. So the way I see tutoring working in the Classical Liberal Arts Academy is this. First of all, we have the curriculum developing and available, and we have a study system that's available. We have the methods and the resources available already as the foundation of the study program. My focus, what I would like to focus on, is the oversight of the whole program, and I'd like to focus specifically on teaching the classical liberal arts, which is the core of this whole program, without which it's just a bunch of fake classical baloney. I'd like to make sure that the core classical liberal arts are always kept as a focus and they're taught, and that we're not just a bunch of conference speakers talking about classical education, but actually classicists who teach the classical liberal arts. So I would like to focus on that core. Many of the needs that we have, because as I said, this has to be practical, it has to be realistic. Our students, we want them to study Catholic theology, we want them to study classical philosophy, but at the same time, they have to study modern English, they have to study modern composition, modern mathematics. They've got to study the modern natural sciences. They've got to complete all of the modern high school requirements, but they've got to do so in a responsible and sustainable way, not as modern schools do it, which is to simply crowd out all other studies and just focus all of the time and attention on these modern minimum requirements, which really makes no sense. These courses have to be taught efficiently by people who respect the greater needs that the students have, needs for philosophical and theological studies, for example. And the teachers of modern maths and sciences and English classes and history classes, they need to understand how to get that work done efficiently so that those students have their time reserved for real core classical Catholic studies. That's a real challenge because it takes humility for a teacher to recognize that they're only serving one part of the curriculum, and they can't crowd out other subjects or push out other subjects and take control of the children's focus. They've got to serve their part, and if it's a subordinate part, they've got to be willing to teach their subject in a way that recognizes that and doesn't get in the way of the children's more important studies, which I would argue are philosophy and theology for Catholic education. So we need tutors who can work with students through the courses that we have in the Classical Liberal Arts Academy, the modern arithmetic courses, modern geometry courses, Algebra 2, pre-calculus and trigonometry, even into calculus. We need teachers, Catholic teachers, who can teach the courses that are in our program, make them as convenient as possible for our students, and help to develop those online courses as they do so. That's a great need. We need teachers who can teach the modern natural sciences in a way that makes sense within the context of classical Catholic education. We need teachers to work with elementary level students to help with reading and writing and basic studies, to provide tutoring support for all those studies. We need history teachers to be able to make history lessons in the courses we offer as efficient as possible for our students, to help students to understand the lessons, to provide quality assessments, to provide grading and feedback for assignments and things like that. There's a lot of work that's needed throughout the curriculum. Literature teachers, humanities teachers to go into subjects like government and other humanities courses that we have in the program. Many different needs, and like I said, I'd like to find tutors who can work with students effectively using our system while also helping to contribute to and develop our system. That's the vision that I have for tutoring, and so financially, the way tutoring would work is that tutors can establish their own tutoring schedule, what courses they're available to tutor in. They can set their own rates for their tutoring meetings. And the tutoring side of things, that actual work is conducted through Zoom meetings, and they can set that work up. They can manage that work using our system for their own rates, the rates that they would like to charge for their services, for the courses that they would like to teach. And they can use our system to provide all of the content of their courses and studies. They can work in our system. They can use all of our assessments, use all of our record-keeping tools and things like that. And I intend to provide training to help tutors understand how to do all that, the same which I do every day. But the tutoring side is where these individuals can actually earn a living. Students would be required to have an active student subscription to the academy, which would support the academy's work and allow for the continued development of the academy. But individual tutors would charge for their own meetings, their own rates, and provide the services that they feel competent to offer. And then parents would ultimately decide who they'd like to arrange tutoring with based on the qualifications and the personality and experience that they have with different tutors. So if you can consider all of those things working together, the parents making decisions based on qualifications and experiences and personalities, tutors establishing their own rates, sort of valuing themselves and their work and making different services available that support our system, and then also contributing to the development of our system and contributing to the benefit of everyone involved, not just themselves, while making a living through their actual tutoring work, which is where they seek their just remuneration for offering live services to students to benefit and help the parents fulfill their duties to educate their children. So that's the vision that I have, that tutors would earn a living through their tutoring work while making use of and contributing to the development of the Classical Liberal Arts Academy program online. So very simple setup, and like I said, I'd be willing to train prospective tutors how to do this, how I do it, for example, which has been effective, and help them get started. Now, I'm a realist in the sense that I like competition, and I'm not going to offer any fake jobs to people who simply don't produce quality results. We're going to allow tutors to set up and offer their services, and then we're going to allow parents to choose whom they wish to support and whom they don't. And I'll offer prospective tutors my opinion as to what I think parents are willing to support and what I think they're not willing to support. But ultimately, the parents will decide what a tutor is able to earn, because if a tutor comes in and sets a high rate and parents just don't agree that the tutor has any reason to command such a high rate, that tutor just won't have any support. Whereas if a student finds the right balance between their self-estimation and the opinion of the market, if you will, they'll find a good spot. If you look at what I do, I basically charge $25 an hour for tutoring, which is very low if you look around local tutoring prices and things like that. But I have a full schedule of tutoring students. I work from the convenience of my own office. I don't have to run around or go to meetings with students. I have a very convenient arrangement, very efficient setup where I work and how I do my work. And I think that to exchange a lower rate of tuition for the convenience that I have and the efficiency that I can work with makes a good balance that allows everyone to be happy, and the support of the parents in filling out my entire tutoring schedule verifies that the price is considered fair and desirable by the parents who are willing to pay it. So there's a reality of the market that's going to decide what can and can't be done, and it's best for us to allow that reality to make those decisions, not create some goofy positions and pay people salaries that they're simply not not worthy of. But to let the market decide who should be paid what, and to create the equity that is actually real and just among the different tutors. So tutors will have control of those things, and the harder and better they work, the more I trust they'll be rewarded for the results that they produce. And the program will continue to develop and improve over time, and the tutors will not only contribute to that system, but will benefit from its continued development. So what does someone need to do if they're interested in tutoring? The first thing, in order to be associated with the academy, you're going to have to take the tutor training course, because you're going to have to go through the lessons that I taught on the history and principles of classical Catholic education. We're not going to do this modern, goofy, define classical education for yourself thing, and everybody has a different opinion about. No, this is real historical, objective information here. Classical education existed in history. It's not a mystery. It's not, some topic for imaginative literature. It's a historical subject that we're working to restore because it's true and necessary. So the first requirement is that you have to work through the tutor training course. So I have confidence that you are familiar with the history and principles of classical Catholic education, and then you can begin to think about specific subject areas you're interested in teaching within the context of that philosophy of education. And we can also have intelligent conversation back and forth about what courses you might be able to tutor, and what you need to give attention to as you tutor in those courses, and so on. The simple task is to teach the Classical Liberal Arts Academy courses to help students succeed and complete these courses at a level with high quality. It's that simple. If you can do that, you can tutor in the Classical Liberal Arts Academy. So the best way to prepare for tutoring is to simply study the courses, work through and complete them, think about ways they can be improved, but complete them, and then simply think about how you can help students to work through those courses as efficiently as possible. If you can do that, you can be an effective tutor. So study the tutor training course. That's number one, to prove that you understand the history and principles of classical Catholic education. And secondly, study the courses. Learn the content, work through the assessments, get started helping with the development and improvement of the assessments. And then as you prove your ability to work through the courses, you can offer to be a tutor who helps other students move through more efficiently than you can as the trailblazer, as it were. So it's very simple, the work of tutoring. It's a matter of producing results. The market will ultimately determine who can tutor and for how much. So there's not much to talk about there. I always recommend starting with low numbers. If your schedule fills up with reservations at a low number, you can charge a little bit more, and eventually you'll find a balancing spot where the market actually exists, and you can decide at that point whether you think it's worth doing, or whether you find that you're not able to earn what you think you should earn, or move on comfortably and do it happily. I've found that I am able to work at a rate that I believe is just and sufficient for my own needs, and I think that others are able to do the same. So it's very simple and objective, very simple preparation, no nonsense or no mystery about how this work needs to be done. We simply have to develop the curriculum, improve the curriculum, and lead students through it. It's a very simple project, but it's going to take many hands to make this work light and make it most effective, and hopefully we can find tutors that can specialize in different areas of the curriculum and offer some real expertise to the students to help them not only make progress through those areas, but do so with some real competence. So if you are interested in talking more about this work, I just encourage you to get started with the tutor training course and studying courses that you might be interested in teaching. We're going to see if you can do the work. We're going to see if you can complete the assessments and pass the quizzes and tests and things like that. And if you can, then it's likely that you'll be able to tutor because it's just a matter of helping students to do what you've already done, but hopefully more efficiently. So if you're interested, get studying and prove yourself capable of progressing through the lessons, and then we can begin to talk about tutoring opportunities and what you might be able to help with. So I hope that's helpful at a practical level. Like I said, I've got a very clear plan for how tutoring can function effectively and sustainably in the Classical Liberal Arts Academy. And as we start to assemble this team of tutors, I think we're going to see students really start to take off. And once that happens, I think this is going to build like a snowball rolling downhill. And we're going to be looking for more and more tutors to allow us to serve a larger and larger body of students. So if you're interested, prove yourself through studies. And as you begin to prove yourself through studies, get in touch and we can start talking about tutoring opportunities. I hope that's helpful. God bless.